Special products. First one we're going to talk about is a product of a sum or a difference. A sum is when you're adding, and a difference is when you are subtracting. So if you notice in the first example, the first box there, we have a minus b times a plus b. And when we use our distributive property, a squared plus ab minus b squared. Notice the middle is 0. So we have just a squared minus b squared. So if you'll notice that you have a sum and a difference product, one is a plus, one is a minus, everything else is the same. All you really need to do is multiply the first and the last. All right, so let's use that knowledge and do the following examples. If you distributed or FOIL like we did in the previous lesson, that is fine. But if you notice that it's a product of a sum and a difference, that just means it's going to save you some work. And all we really need to do is multiply the first and the last. So I'll show you a couple different ways I can show my work. If I want to use the rule up above where it's just going to be a squared minus b squared, then I would just take x squared minus b squared. It would look something like this. So that's x squared minus 49. I prefer to use arrows, so I would probably just multiply the first and get x squared. I know it's a minus, a positive times a negative is a negative, and then 7 times 7 is 49. That's probably my method. Number 2, we have a product we're multiplying of a sum and a difference. So I'm going to multiply the first. 3x times 3x would be 9x squared. And 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And that's it. Number 3. Again, if you prefer, you can go 7 squared minus 5x squared. It's the same thing as my 7 times 7, which is 49. And 5x times negative 5x, which is a negative 25x squared. Number 4, we have a product we're multiplying. One's positive, one's negative. Everything else is the same. So that's going to be a squared, which is 9x, minus b squared, which would be y. Same thing as drawing my arrows. That's 81x squared minus y squared. Number 5, we have a product. We're adding and we're subtracting. Everything else is the same. So that's going to be xy squared minus 5 squared. Xy times xy is x squared y squared minus 5 times 5, 25. Number 6, we would have x to the 6th squared minus y to the 5th squared. And you're going to have to use your power to a power rule here. Or if you're going to draw arrows, x to the 6th times x to the 6th, same base, multiply and keep the base, add the exponents. Doesn't matter how you get it, you're going to get x to the 12th. Minus y to the 10th. All right, here are a few for you to try. I would encourage you to stop the video, work them out, and then check to see if your answers are correct. All right, let's look at another product. Squaring a binomial. A minus b is in parentheses and it is squared. That means your base is a minus b. So if you write it out, it's a minus b times a minus b. And then we can use our distributive property, FOIL, and we can work it out. And we can see the result is a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. If we were squaring a sum, so it's a plus b squared, same process. You'll notice the result is a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Now, if you don't remember that is okay, because you can always write out the binomial and then use the properties that you've been using in the last lesson. So we'll try some of these kind of both ways. And you might have noticed the only difference is the sign of the middle term. Let me scroll back up here. So if it's a minus b, notice it's minus 2ab. Everything else is the same. If it's a plus b, the middle term is a plus 2ab. So let's look at number 1. X plus 7 squared. If we use previous knowledge, not what I just showed you, this is the same thing as x plus 7 times x plus 7. And then we could write it out as a distributive property, or you could use arrows, or you could use FOIL, same thing. And I would have x squared plus 7x plus 7x plus 49. So that's x squared plus 14x plus 49. So that's perfectly good way to get your answer. But if we wanted to use the information I provided above by using the pattern, we would square the first term. We would give it the same sign that's in the problem, which is a plus. And then we would need a 2 times the first term times the second term plus the second term squared. 7 times 7. Put it all together, you get x squared plus 14x plus 49. Now, what I have up here is if you put a 2 in the middle, and you kind of circle this, that's going to give you that middle term. This is kind of different patterns how you see it. That's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and use the pattern since we've already worked out how to multiplying binomials. So we're going to square the first term. If you want to go a equals x and b equals 5, you can do that too. But I'm going to square the first term, give it the same sign in the problem, multiply it by 2 times the first term times the second term, plus the second term squared. Put it all together, x squared minus 10x plus 25. Number 3, I'll write this. A is going to be 3x, b is going to be 2. So I'm going to square the first term. Same sign that's a problem, so it's a plus. 2 times the first term times the second term times the last term squared. This gives us 9x squared plus 12x plus 4. Number 4, square the first term, same sign, 2 times the first term times the second term. It's always positive, and the last term squared. And you can leave your answer like that since that's the way the problem started. Number 5, we get 5x squared plus 2 times 5x times 7 plus 7 squared. 25x squared plus 70x plus 49. Number 6, square the first term, same sign, 2 times the first term times the last term plus the last term squared, and simplify. Number 7, fractions don't scare us. Square the first term, same sign, 2 times the first term times the last term plus the last term squared. This will give us 4 over 25x squared minus 2 times 2 is 4 times 3 is 12. 12 over 5x plus 9. And number 8. Square the first term, same sign, 2 times the first term times the last term plus the last term squared. All right, so there's some you can practice. I would encourage you to stop the video, practice these 4, and check your answer. Got my X there. And the last 2, we'll practice multiplying. But number 2, there's a easier way and a not so easy way. If you multiply the product of a sum and difference together first, you know you're going to only get 2 terms. So your best strategy here is to multiply the x minus 5 times the x plus 5. And that will give us x squared minus 25. And then to multiply the x plus 3 times the x minus 3, just going to multiply the first and the last. Give me x squared minus 9. Now I would multiply these 2 binomials together. So x squared times x squared minus 9 minus 25 times x squared minus 9. And combine like terms. And there you go. Look for that product of a sum and a difference. Gonna save you some work. And that is all.